Thank you, everybody, for attending our workshop here today. This is the first in a series of our webinars that we'll be holding from Dental Management Secrets. We're just going to wait a couple seconds and let the rest of the people join in, and then we'll all be together. All right, looks like we're all online. So we're going to start our webinar by just introducing what we're all about. A lot of people ask us when you're doing a Management 101 or Management 301 or 201, what is Management 101? What does it entail? So we thought we'd just take this opportunity during this webinar to introduce you to what the program has. The program has a lot of different components that you would use when you are managing. So in Management 101, we teach you how to master HR. A lot of people say, HR is hiring, the firing, but there's so much more to HR than just hiring and firing. There's so much detail that we have to do as managers that we take this time to actually work with you to actually explain what HR is or what human resources is. We help you to get ready so that you can get the pulse of your team. We teach you what to say, and sometimes I think more importantly what not to say. We teach you to work with your teams and with your patients to get a win-win situation. We talk about pay incentives and how you can work with pay incentives and do they work or don't they work, or some people have bonuses, and we talk about what we find about bonuses. Should there be bonuses policies? One of the hardest things that we do as managers is we have to set and enforce policies. So during this course in 101, we teach you about setting a policy and enforcing a policy, or introducing a policy. So what we do together in this class is we'll actually set up some policies that you might want to take back to your office, and we'll work together on how you introduce them to the office, and then we give you some tips on how you would enforce those policies. We help you set goals, so we work with you to set some SMART goals for yourself, some SMART goals for your team members, and during this class we actually set some SMART goals that you go home and you get to implement immediately. One of the most difficult parts about being a manager is implementing change. People are really set in their ways. Some offices have been around for 10, 20 years. Some of these people that we're working with have been in the industry for 15, 22, 30 years, and then we have to introduce change, going paperless, changing maybe our location, even changing our practice software. So what we do in this course is we help you implement change. We take you through the steps, all the things you need to do to make change happen, and then we actually walk through together for you to make change. And another thing that you go home with after this course is a change that you can actually implement in your office. We talk about leadership skills on how people are watching what we do, how people are listening to what we say, how we learn how to speak so we can speak in publicly, how all the things that make us a true leader. We work you through that. And of course, we try to take away some of the pressures of management from you. A lot of times, us managers, we're stuck in our offices doing reports, and the whole world's going around us. Sometimes it's hard to be ahead of HR issues if you're doing a report. If you're stuck on payroll day and it's taking you 2 to 3 days to do payroll, and your life is fixated on getting that payroll done so that everybody gets paid properly and on time. So what we do is we sit down and we say, that's not management, that's called clerical. And so we teach you some ways to automate those roles in the management jobs so that you have time to do other things. We talk about progressive management techniques, and that's getting away from the old terminology where they used to call it progressive discipline. I think that's just a harsh word, progressive discipline, and I don't think it tells what we're really truly after. What we're trying to do in progressive management is we're trying to save the position. We want to give the employee the opportunity to change, and so we create progressive management, allowing them the chance to change. Talk about hiring the star, hiring the right person at the right time, how to get people in there so you're not always hiring, and then let's train the people that we hire. Let's actually give them proper training, create training courses, and during this course we give you opportunity to create some training as well. And then one of the hardest things about our job is termination, and that's when we've done all the progressive management techniques. We know we hired what we thought was the right person. We know that we've given them the proper training, and that person chooses not to move forward with your company, but they're not willing to leave on their own, so they're asking us to terminate them. We teach you how to terminate them. We actually call it the 30-second termination. Because once you followed all the steps and all the things that we teach you in the course, really, a termination should last no more than 30 seconds. And we'll teach you how the employee is not surprised and how to handle this in a way that you're not going to get sued and that you're being very kind in the way you're doing it, but you're just ending a business relationship that's not working. We talk about handling overtime. Actually, I wonder if that's the right terminology. Maybe we should call it about how we get rid of overtime. And the way we get rid of overtime is with scheduling people properly. So there's some really exciting things that happen in this course that can really make a difference to your practice. Like, how about collecting money? The money that's owed to us. We've done a service to people. Now we're looking for money. So we teach you some payment techniques on how to collect money, how to introduce to your offices and to your practices how we're going to collect the money and just make it easier for us. We also talk about marketing your dental office. When I started at our office, people were always talking about what marketing was doing and not doing, and we explained to them that marketing's what their job was to do is to make the phone ring. If our phone was ringing, which it was, the rest was up to us. But making the phone rings, that is a difficult part. That's where as a manager, I was kind of floundering. I didn't know how to make the phone ring because that's not my expertise. So what we did is we hired a marketing company, and actually today as a special guest, we have Trent. And Trent is going to talk to you about his portion of what he adds to these courses and other courses where he talks to you about marketing. And it gets more exciting because he actually as well in his course gives you stuff that you take home with you. So you actually have stuff in place when you leave this class. You're not leaving this class with just ideas, but you're leaving them with tangible things in your hand. You actually leave this course with a staff handbook so that all of your staff understands what's expected of them so that you're not always saying no. The book has got everything laid out and it makes our jobs a lot simpler. So you actually leave this class with a lot of stuff. Trent is going to come up in a few minutes after I talk a little bit more, and he's going to come online and he's going to introduce his portion of the seminar. But I wanted to tell you some of the places that we have the seminar, the timing of the seminar. We have one happening as soon as July the 22nd through to the 25th in Calgary. In August, we're in Anchorage, Alaska. Somebody asked me why Anchorage, and if you've ever been to Alaska in the summertime, you'd know why. It's beautiful out there. We actually go in September. We're in Boston. We're also in Las Vegas in September. We have a couple things going on in September in Las Vegas. We have, and I'll talk about it a little bit later, we have the Best of Both Worlds conference happening as well as our conference happening. You can actually get both of them because we pushed them together so that the timing works out that you can enjoy both conferences at the same time. We're in Atlanta in October. We're in Phoenix in October again. Again, we're picking the warm places in the winter. But then we thought some people might want to go skiing on the weekend. So in November, we're taking you out to Denver for 101. Our webpage has all of these locations on them, so make sure you visit us there. Just to give you, over the next 20 minutes, we're going to help or talk about one of the points that we talk about when we're creating our staff handbook. And this is one of the points that always seems to be a hot topic when we're out there. We have roundtable discussions at these seminars, and during the roundtable discussion, it was always coming up about gossip in the practices. And so we actually amended our course, and we wrote about gossip in the practice. What we did is we took a little time and we said, what is gossip in the practice? And we said, well, let's first of all define gossip. So in our course, we would talk about a little bit about how gossip is defined. Webster, the English dictionary, has some definitions of them. We also have a definition from Macmillan's dictionary. I found that they were a little light. They told us what gossip was, unaccountable conversation about unimportant subjects, especially people's private lives. That's kind of gossip, but I thought I would give you my definition of gossip. My definition of gossip is that it's that poison that destroys practices. It's the cancer that needs to be removed so that the rest of your practice can survive. It is an energy sucker. And I bet you if we had you not muted right now, you would all be saying, yeah, it kills me, because we all recognize it is extremely destructive. How we define gossip in our office, the way we put it out simply so our staff can understand it is when someone in your office complains to someone who does not have the authority or the means to change an issue. This would be a case when one hygienist goes to another hygienist to talk about another hygienist about how that hygienist never gets all the way down in the pockets. You know, it's just that pick and flick, pick and flick. They never do their job. It's all that pick and flick. That is called gossip because the hygienist that she's speaking to does not have the authorization or the means to change. I, on the other hand, have the means to change it. So if this is a real issue, they can come and they can meet with me. I love this one. This is a joke that Calvin's son posted on his site. And it says, I never gossip, so I listened carefully the first time. I think we have to be careful that that's not happening in our office. Some of the tips that I have that I use is I'm constantly looking at the man in the mirror. I'm looking at me. I'm saying, what is my example? Am I at the water cooler gossiping? You know, some of us, to get a pulse of our teams, we found that person in the office who is always talking. They're always going to tell you the story about somebody else. And when you listen to them, you actually do find a lot of information. But you have to filter it out from the gossip. Every time you engage in that conversation, every time you sit down with that person and the staff knows that this is that gossip section, you're telling your staff that gossip's allowed. So look at the man in the mirror. Make sure that you are not the one gossiping. You have to listen. If people in your office feel like you don't have an open door or policy or practice, if they feel like you're not there for them, they have to gossip because they need someone to talk to. So we have to remember to look at the man in the mirror, not engage in gossip, but we have to be there to listen when somebody from our office has a legitimate issue that they want to bring forward to us. One thing that a lot of offices don't do is they don't have a no gossip policy. It's so simple. Introduce a no gossip policy. Have it in your office. When you create your staff handbook, you have to have a no gossip policy. And if this is a big deal in your office, like it was in my office, and it is in a lot of offices that I see, you might even want to introduce this separate from your handbook. You want to bring people together and say, we are going to have a no gossip policy. And you have to be willing to sit down and introduce it. Don't do it with one of those little memos, you know, that you sneak and put in everybody's cubby hole or they find in their paycheck, this little thing talking about gossip. Actually, sit down with them, have a lunch and learn, have a meeting, and introduce a no gossip policy. Now, here's the hard part. It is tough when we introduce a policy because now we have to do it. Now we, the leaders, have to be able to enforce the policy. So don't be afraid to address the offenders. When you hear somebody gossiping, go and meet with them. Talk to them about it. Tell them that gossip is not allowed. Remind them that it's in their handbook. Start your progressive management. The first time you hear them, start the ball rolling. People will understand in short order that gossip is not allowed in your practice. And I'm telling you, your practice will change overnight if gossip is taken out of it. I've had offices go as far as to say that if you gossip, you will be terminated with just cause. For those of us in Canada, that means that we don't have to go through the 5 steps of terminating somebody. I know a lot of places in the States you have work to rule, and so you can terminate quicker. You don't have to take all the steps. But even at that, let people know that you're just not going to tolerate it. So don't be afraid to address the offenders. Before we hand off this portion, or my portion of this, to Trent, our guest speaker, I wanted to open up the microphones and see if anybody has any questions.
Are we seeing the dental marketing session slide?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'll give you a little background on who I am and who Dental Growth Strategies are. We've been doing dental marketing now for about 9 years, and so we've seen all kinds of different things in dental marketing. And we do marketing for other types of businesses as well, but the majority of our clients are in the healthcare industry. And so Craig has invited us to do a session on marketing in the upcoming workshops. And so what I wanted to do was just go through the list of things that we're going to cover and give you a little bit of an explanation on them. So first thing, I'm just going to go through the list, give you a brief overview, and then we'll go into it a little bit deeper and tell you what we're going to cover. So we're going to start off with a history of marketing. and how that has shaped dental marketing. And that's not necessarily in a good way, because I think a lot of people spend a lot of money on things that they shouldn't because they think that's what they should be doing. We're going to talk about the difference between tactics and strategy in marketing. Most people think it's the same thing, and it's not. We're going to talk about the decision-making process of your prospects and how not getting this right can cost you thousands of dollars. We're going to look at some ads, under-leveraged ads, and the results formula. And it's a formula that helps you to get it right every time. So if you attend the session, one of the sessions, and you go away with this, that's the one thing that is probably the most important part of what we're going to cover, is learning that results formula and making it work. We're going to talk about how to find and hit the right hot buttons to make your prospects take notice. We're going to talk about creating ads and content. In fact, you're going to go away with a fully created ad for your dental clinic when you leave, and we're going to even do the graphic design for you. There are ad templates, headline starters, cheat sheets. We're going to talk about graphic design and web design and how not to get led around by your designer, because they can mess things up sometimes. We'll also talk about blogs, social media, search engine optimization, and other online strategies. And finally, we'll just talk about how to put it all together. So let's quickly just talk about some of those things. The history of marketing. Before World War II, companies were really good at getting the attention and building the case for their product and service. And the ads back then were a lot different. You can see they had headlines and a lot more content. Today, you probably would see, ads for the bigger companies like McDonald's, for example. They all have had all of these slogans, and they just flash the golden arches and put their little slogan up, and that's all they ever do. They don't really give you any reason why you should go there. They probably could give you reasons why not. Here's another one. Stuff like this really catches people's attention. Sudden death, heart disease, and it gives the people enough information that really helps them to make a decision. But after World War II, everything changed, and it changed because of one thing. And I'm not sure if anybody on here knows what that might be, but it's TV, it's television. So with the advent of TV, what happened was it created something called the era of the brand builders. And everyone drew the conclusion that that's how you should do marketing. And that's not the case anymore. And we're going to talk about that in depth in the session, excuse me, so that you understand the difference between brand building and direct response marketing and how they actually work together. How technology and the increase in competition has changed the way you need to approach your marketing. So we're going to talk about that because people have more options now. There's a lot more dentists out there, and there's a lot easier way for people to find them. It used to be before they could just drive down the street and they would go to the dentist who was on their street. But now they can just go online and find probably 100 dentists that are between their work and where they live. So they've got a lot more choices now. We're going to talk about the difference between tactics and strategy. When I talk to people about marketing, they tell me, yeah, we sent out some mail, we did radio, we have done print ads, newspaper, things like that. And that's all tactics. That's the tactical side. That's the media and communication mix. And it's how often you say it. So it's the frequency. The strategy, however, is the most important part, and we'll talk quite a bit about that. And that's having something good to say and saying it well. And that's innovating and then using the results formula that we're going to show you here in a minute. Excuse me. And that all relates to cash drivers. Those are the things that you can track, control, and measure when you do your marketing. And if you're marketing and you're not tracking what's working and what's not, then you're probably wasting money somewhere. We're going to also talk about the decision-making process. We're going to talk about how people make decisions and how that affects you. And we think that you need to talk to people from their point of view and not from your point of view. You understand dentistry, so it's very easy to talk about dentistry, but they don't. And so, for example, somebody who maybe is thinking of getting implants, or maybe they just have a missing tooth and they don't like that and they don't know what their options are. They probably think implants are too expensive. So that's an objection to care. Maybe they think it's going to be painful. Another objection to care. but they don't really know what the benefits are. So you want to start down here when that person first thinks in their head, boy, I don't like having a missing tooth. And they reach into the file folder in their brain and they pull it out and they say, okay, what do I know about missing teeth? Well, I know that, I could get a bridge. Maybe I could implants, or I could just leave it. Um, so they don't know a lot at that point. They start gathering information. They ask friends. They go online. They look for solutions. And if you're the one who markets to them at that point and talks, it gives them decision facilitating information, by the time they get down to the end where they decide to select somebody to provide that service, you're going to be the obvious choice. So your office is going to facilitate the decision process with important and relevant information, and your competitors are simply just going to say, when you get down to the end here, give us a call. And that's a whole different deal, because you're the expert teaching them what they need to know to make a decision, so they just think that you're the best choice. We're going to look at underleveraged ads, and this is one I just had pulled out of a Yellow Pages book a couple years ago, but it's very typical of ads for dentists that we see everywhere. Lines like, "We create beautiful smiles." The big thing up in the corner is always their name or their logo. This doesn't help, because people don't care about your name. They don't care about your logo, but they do care, how can you solve their problem? And then just a list of services here. Probably every dentist in the area could give this same list of services. There might be one or two things that people don't do, but it still doesn't differentiate you from your competition. So we'll talk about how to do that. And the big thing we're going to talk about is the results formula, because everything that we do is based on this. And the results formula is interrupt and engage with activators and hot buttons, educate. So you teach your prospect how to solve their problem, and then your prospect will draw the conclusion that you're the best choice. They view you as the expert. And that's what they're looking for, is an expert, because if they knew how to solve their problem, if they knew how to replace their tooth, they'd do it themselves, but they don't. So that's why they need an expert. And it's the same with every professional service. And then you need to offer two different kinds, or have two different kinds of offers: risk lowering and promotional. And we'll talk about the differences in those. Risk lowering offers are specifically for those people who are early along in the decision making process. They're not ready to pick up the phone and book an appointment with you yet. And if that's all you give them to take action, they're afraid. They won't do that. So it's very important to have some sort of a risk lowering offer, and then promotional offers, and that's later in the process, when they're closer to picking up the phone and booking that appointment. We're going to talk a lot about activators and hot buttons, and how those work together, and how, if you get them wrong, you don't have any opportunity to market to people, because they don't read the rest of your ad. We're going to look at how to hit the right hot buttons, because if you get, like I just said, if you get them wrong, it's not going to work very well. We'll talk about the psychology of buying and how your prospect's brain works. Concepts like reticular activator, which is a part of your brain that responds to marketing, and we'll show you how that works, and talk about that a little bit, because it's important to understand it. We'll talk about alpha mode, which is basically how we operate every day. I like to use the example of a day that you drive to work, and you get to work, and all of a sudden you think, wow, I totally forgot the last 10 minutes. I didn't even pay attention. And that's the way we all are. So we need something to snap us out of that and take us into what we call beta mode, which is an active and engaged stage. We also need to make sure that we deal with false betas. And we'll talk about what those are and how they can affect your marketing. They can actually kill it, because you engage people and then you drop the ball and you don't give them any way to, or anything that engages them any further. And we're going to talk about the difference between activators and hot buttons, and why you need to include both in your marketing. Activators are things that snap your brain to attention. Like if I say, Craig would immediately say to me, or look at me and think, oh, somebody's talking to me. If I'm looking at someone else, Craig automatically goes back to what he's doing because he thinks, oh, okay, there's nothing there. So you need to combine those with hot buttons. We're going to talk about creating ads and content. And you're going to go home with at least one ad done for you. You're going to get templates that you can use to force you to use the results formula. And it's very important because even after doing this for, well, dental marketing for 9 years, but marketing for over 10 years, we know that you can fall away from using that formula. And when you do, the ads just don't work as well. So these templates help you out to do that. They're really good to give your graphic designer to keep them on track. We'll give you cheat sheets like what we call the headline bank, where you get 175 of the most effective headlines ever used, and they all work, or not all, but most of them work for dentistry. We're going to teach you how to tell if your graphic designer is giving you back material that will still work. So once you've filled out the templates and got them to the graphic designer, a lot of times they mess it up and it doesn't work very well. So we're going to teach you how to do that. Talk about blogs, social media, where to start in the social media world and how to scale it up. You know, a lot of people think, wow, I've got to start all these things at once. Well, no, you don't. Start in one place and we'll show you where to do that and how to get going, and then how to ensure it doesn't take over your entire life, because social media can do that. It can be very time consuming if you don't do it right. And then finally, we're going to teach you how to make it all work together as a system, with your website as a hub and then everything working through and around that hub. And I think it's very important to make sure that it does work as a system, because too many times marketing works in little bits and pieces. So people will send out a postcard and then that's all they do for a little while. And then they think, oh, well, we got to fix up our website, and then that's all they do. But the postcard and the website have nothing to do with each other. Everything should work together. So we're going to talk about how to set that system up and make sure that it works. And that's it. So that should take up all the time we're going to have when we're together, and hopefully we can teach people how to do some marketing. So back to you, Craig, and I'll shoot it back to your screen.
Thanks, Trent. That's excellent. That's some real information to take home with you. When you can go to a conference and leave with some marketing, if you can go to a conference and leave with a staff handbook, you've really accomplished something. I'm not afraid to tell you that you can go on the web and you can find a template for staff handbooks anywhere, and they'll tell you how to plug it in. But our staff handbook is a custom-built staff handbook that we set in together in our seminars, and you actually create to be specific for your office. There are some things that are standard in the staff handbook or that we would recommend in the staff handbook, and so that kind of stuff is there when we get started. So we have the foundation, but you actually build the walls. And it goes really successful because once you've completed the course and you've gone through the first 2 days, you're ready to do a staff handbook. You know what to do, and there's a lot of people working with you to make it happen. Some of the things that we have happening in the near future is we have the best of both worlds conference, and that's going to be co-hosted together with us, Dental Management Secrets, with ClearDent and Sinclair. We also have Dr. Ali, and Dr. Ali is coming in, and Dr. Ali will be presenting on implants. So we'll have ClearDent talking about practice software management. You'll have Sinclair talking about, and they actually talk about a lot of equipment and stuff. None of us are sitting there selling our products. We're giving you opportunity to see what products are out there for you to have, and of course, we're there at Dental Management Secrets. We're doing it in Las Vegas in September the 26th through the 27th at the Wynn Hotel, which is one of the beautiful hotels there. You can go and visit us online at www.tbbw.ca. So you can go check us out there, or you can Google the Best of Both Worlds Conference. We also have another exciting conference that we're doing. And this is our own conference. It's called Dental Management Secrets Rejuvenation Retreat. And we have sessions that are for the dentists. We have individual sessions for the managers, individual sessions for spouses, and individual sessions for staff. And we have joint sessions as well. I used to always hate when I was at a conference and it was a manager's conference, and sitting next to me was my supervisor or maybe my receptionist who was learning the same things I was. Made it difficult sometimes to put them in practice when they sat through the same information I did. So at this rejuvenation conference, we separate you out and bring you together where it needs to be together. We have a lot of speakers there that are versed in your areas. I love the spousal part, is talking to spouses. We realize that being a dentist spouse has its challenges, and so we walk you through that. Managers, we're there for you. I want to tell you, it's in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, and it's on the 23rd of January through to the 26th. I want to tell you how we do it with our staff. What we do with our staff is we want them to have some skin in the game if we're taking them to Mexico or if we're doing a conference. We realize that everybody will sign up for a trip to Mexico, but then, you know, when they're down there, are they invested in it? Do they have anything that they want to give towards a conference, or are they just going to Mexico? So what we do in our office is every time we're having a conference like this, we would ask every staff member to work 2 additional shifts for free that go towards this conference. So if we were going to Mexico, we're taking all of our staff to Mexico, we simply tell them all you have to do is work 2 additional shifts. Now that doesn't mean they give up their Saturday shift or their Monday shift and they don't get paid. You have to add 2 production days into your schedule that aren't normally worked. So if you're not normally open on a Saturday, and you've been thinking about opening on a Saturday, what a perfect time to experiment with it. You get your staff and your associates to volunteer to work 2 Saturdays. When they work those Saturdays, all the production, so the associates aren't getting any percentage, all their production as well as the staff hours are all donated to make this trip happen. So once they've worked those shifts, they're eligible to come to your Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, to get a course that is phenomenal for them in the first place, but actually they've got some skin in the game. Again, it's January 23rd through 26th, 2014 already. It's in Cabo San Lucas, and you can go and see us at dentalmanagementsecrets.com/Cabo. But we'd also encourage you to Google dentalmanagementsecrets.com and see all of the items that we have up there, all the products, all the things that we have going on there that we believe and know will help your practice. So come and visit us at dentalmanagementsecrets.com. You can Google Dental Management Secrets, you'll find us, or even if you Google Dental Management, we pop up. But we'd like to thank you for coming and attending our first webinar. We'll be sending you out information on some additional webinars that we have coming in the future. I truly believe that if you come to any one of these events or all of these events, your office will be on its way to the next level. So again, thank you. Visit us at dentalmanagementsecrets.com. Thanks again, Trent. We'll see you all in Mexico.